All right. Good afternoon. Yeah, as Laura said, today we're talking about funding. REAP and some other funding that's available in New Jersey to help assist with the installation of the solar projects as well as other projects, and then after it's installed, some incentives that would be available to you there in New Jersey. So the REAP, Rural Development, Rural Energy for America program, or REAP, it actually provides two things. We talk a lot about the grant funding and the 40%, but it also provides loan guarantees to ag producers and small businesses for both renewable energy systems and energy efficiency improvements. So there's really four key points to take away from REAP. It provides loan guarantees as well as grant funding. Those loan guarantees and grant funding are for renewable energy systems such as solar, photovoltaic systems, wind energy, things like that, as well as energy efficiency improvements. So like your building envelopes, windows, doors, more energy efficient, anything that's more energy efficient, lighting, things like that. So who may apply? Agricultural producers and rural development has a little bit different definition of what an ag producer is, but agricultural producers with at least 50% of their gross income coming from agricultural operations. And also small businesses in rural areas, or rural small business is really what the proper term would be for that. All right, Laura, next slide, please. Okay, so the REAP, renewable energy system. So I get this asked to me a lot. What are the systems? What can these funds be used for? And you see the list there. It's I wouldn't say it's all inclusive, but very very good list there. The main two that we have been looking at, especially there in New Jersey, are the small and large wind generation and small and large solar generation. We've also done some geothermal work, but the main ones that we've looked at are wind and solar. The renewable energy system grants have a lower a cap, or I guess you could say minimum and a maximum cap. The reimbursement, or the funds rather, are the minimum is $2,500 and the maximum is $1 million. So what that means is your project cost to meet the minimum grant fund threshold would need to be $6,250 up to $2,500,000. So that coincides with the 40% grant fund. So the grant funds for that would be up to 40%, and those would be the total project cost and for the minimum, and then the total project cost at the maximum to be able to receive those funds through REAP for a renewable energy system. All right, Laura, next slide, please. And this slide is discussing the energy efficiency improvements or energy efficiency projects. So again, as with the renewable energy, the funds may be used for the purpose of installation and construction of these energy efficiency improvements, and there's some examples listed there: high efficiency heating, ventilation, air conditioning, insulation, lighting, cooling and refrigeration, doors, windows, electric, solar, gravity pumps for sprinkler pivots, diesel to electric conversions, and then replacement of energy inefficient equipment. The funding for these are slightly different. It's a lower minimum, lower maximum. So the grant fund minimum is $1,500 and the maximum is $500,000. So what that means is that the total project cost to receive the minimum reimbursement, or excuse me, the minimum grant fund would be $3,750 of total project cost, and the maximum would be $1,250,000 total project cost. So at $3,750, you would receive a $1,500 grant, and at $1.25 million, you would receive a $500,000 grant. Okay, good deal. So the funding that's available. So this is where you know, kind of, okay, well, what am I going to get? You know, if I apply, what are my options to receive funding? So there's loan guarantees on loans up to 75% of the total eligible project costs. So what that means is, and I'm going to refer to my notes here just to read it straight off of my notes so that I don't get it wrong. But these loan guarantees, what that means is that if the farm gets a regular commercial loan based solely on credit worthiness, you know, the commercial financing, and then default, if the farm defaults on that, REAP will pay off the balance. So that's what the loan guarantees mean. Grants for up to 40%. So the grant would be, again, 40% of the total eligible project cost, and then combined grant funding and loan guarantee of up to 75% of total eligible project costs. So for instance, for easy math, if we're looking at $100,000 project, you know, you can get a grant for up to 40%. So in other words, $40,000. All right, and then you can get that loan guarantee to bump that up to the 75%. So if you've got a $100,000 project, you get a grant for $40,000. That leaves $60,000 on the table. What you would want to do with that loan guarantee is get it up to 75,000. So if you've got a $40,000 grant, that leaves a $35,000 loan to get you to that 75,000. REAP, you know, will not cover above the 75%. So you can have a $40,000 grant, and then that $35,000 loan guarantee. That remaining $25,000 would have to come out of your pocket or from another source. So that's just a you know, an example of kind of what this is looking like. But if you just went with a loan guarantee, no grant, you could get up to 75,000 of a $100,000 project for you know, in a loan guarantee. So all right, Laura, next slide. Okay, so that's the REAP program. That is how to actually fund the solar panels, the installation, the labor, to actually get that system on your property and going. The New Jersey Clean Energy Program has incentives that are offered after that system is installed and going. It is actually producing electricity. The only thing that I could find that actually offers grants for the actual solar panels, the installation, actually purchasing that system was REAP. I couldn't find anything else that offered, you know, grant funds for the actual systems. But I did go through the New Jersey Clean Energy Program's website, and I was able to find some incentives that they offer after, you know, from production. It's based on production from the system. Of course, there's net metering, where you're, you know, receiving funds for the energy that's being produced and those kind of things. But this actually offers incentives on top of that. So New Jersey's Clean Energy Program, specifically inside of that umbrella, the New Jersey Clean Energy Program, the Successor Solar Incentive Program is their current solar incentive program. Under that, there's two programs, sub-programs, ever what you want to call them, that offer these incentives. There's the Administratively Determined Incentive Program, or ADI program. That is for systems that are sized at 5 megawatts or less. And Laura and I were just talking about this before the call, and we did confirm that that you fall into these programs based on system size. So most of the systems for agricultural production are going to fall below that 5 megawatt size. Actually, most will fall under the 1 megawatt size. But the ADI program is more than likely going to be the one that will that farms and small businesses there in New Jersey will need to register and apply for. And there is an online registration portal. I'm not going into details about the registration process or any of that. All of that information is on the website, and I've added that web link to their website in the resources, on the resources slide. So it is there. But really, the purpose of this is just to give a high-level overview and what these programs can do for you. So the ADI program is the one we're going to focus on today, but also wanted to mention the Competitive Solar Incentive Program for systems greater than 5 megawatts. Unlike the ADI program, that program has a bid process, and it's a bit more extensive for those bigger systems. So one thing to note is that both programs offer one SREC-2. So those are essentially renewable energy credits, solar renewable energy credits for each megawatt hour of solar electricity produced from a qualifying solar facility. So again, megawatt being 1,000 kilowatts. If your system was producing 10,000 kilowatts in a year, that would be 10 megawatts, and so you would receive 10 solar renewable energy credits, 10 RSEC-2s for those megawatts produced. So that, just kind of again, high level overview of that. But a 10,000 kilowatt producing system would provide 10 megawatts, and you would receive 10 of these credits. So with that in mind, we'll go to the next slide, please, Laura. Okay, so the key eligibility requirements for this program are, it's a net metered residential or non-residential solar facilities, 5 megawatts or less, and community solar projects. So again, it's 5 megawatts or less. So where the farm and rural small businesses would fall under would be the non-residential solar facilities. And again, net metered. That's an important note to take, is net metered non-residential solar facilities. Number two, without getting into the weeds, project located on property types that were previously eligible to seek conditional certification from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities under subsection T, now referred to. That anyway, the project type would have to, or the project would have to be located on a eligible property type, which again, farms, rural small businesses most likely will fall under those property types. Solar facilities that have not yet reached commercial operation, defined as permission to operate prior to opening of the ADI program. Solar facilities that reach commercial operation before August 28, 21 must be granted special dispensation by the NJBPU to participate in the ADI program. All solar equipment must be new. Solar facilities connected to a distribution or transmission system owned or operated by New Jersey Public Utilities. So again, net metered. It's got to be connected to a New Jersey Public Utility or local government unit. Solar facilities receiving incentives that are 1 megawatt or greater are subject to the Prevailing Wage Act, which again, that's not, should not be an issue for most of these rural small business and agricultural systems. Most of these, their size is below 1 megawatt. Okay, yeah, that was it. Next slide, please, Laura. All right, so this chart came directly from the ADI program website. The one that I want to draw your attention to is the small net meter non-residential located on rooftop, carport, canopy, floating solar, as well as small net meter non-residential ground mount. Okay. Specifically the revised SREC2 value column. All right, so those are the two that are more than likely going to be the two categories that most of the agricultural and small business solar systems, photovoltaic systems will fall under. So what that means is for every credit, every renewable energy credit that your system receives because of the generation that it occurs, you will get that amount of money, $110 or $90, excuse me, per credit that you receive. So going back to the 10 megawatt system, you know, if your system is generating 10,000 kilowatts, that is a per year, that is a 10 megawatt system. So over the course of a year, if you're receiving 10 megawatts or you're generating 10 megawatts over the course of a year, it would be 10 times that value. So if it's a ground mount system, 10 times $90, so $900 for the year. And if it's a rooftop or, you know, floating solar, something like that, it would be 10 times $110, so $1,100 for the year over the course of a year of generation. But those are the, like I said, those are the main two. The large and community solars are between 1 and 5 megawatts, and then the community solar up to 5 megawatts. Those are not that a farm couldn't have one that size. It's just highly unlikely that a 1 megawatt system would be on a farm. But that's the main two, are the two small non-resident net meter non-residentials. All right, next slide, please, Laura. Okay, so that's it for the presentation side of it. We're good now to take questions, and Laura, I think the resources slide, if I'm not mistaken, is the last one. Yes, and so there's more information than what I have presented here, especially on the ADI program. Again, I didn't go into the registration process, the online portal, all of those things, the requirements that they're going to, or the documents and required things they're going to need from you during the registration process. All of that can be found on that website, the third bullet point there, the ADI program website. And so there's more information there, but I'd be glad to help out and assist, if there's any questions or anything like that. So
that's interesting. Thank you, Justin. And so that New Jersey Clean Energy Program, while those funds wouldn't be available to help implement a solar project and help get it on the ground, they might allow farmers to pay it off quicker, provide a per year payment. And so I'm learning about this program.
Yes.
This is all new to me, but it would provide that per year payment that may help.
Right. And to be quite honest, what I'm going to do before we do another one of these is actually just call and try to talk to somebody, because it's unclear as to how they distribute those payments, if it's a lump sum after a year, or if they look at the generation on a monthly basis and give out those payments per month. It's unclear as to how they issue that, but yes, Laura, you are right. Once that system is producing commercially, and is able, you're able to produce that energy, then you will, if you register for this program and it's accepted, and you're in with that program, you're exactly right, that those funds can help offset that 60% or 25%, depending on how, you go through the REAP. It can absolutely, provide additional funds to help pay that, that amount off, the remaining amount. Absolutely.
And the other point that I just wanted to emphasize was that the renewable energy assessments that were completed under the first round of our grant used, the potential REAP funding of essentially the last program, right? So it's been increased to 40% of the program cost can be achievable through the grants. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's rumored that that could even change to 50% for a future sign up. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So the whispers are that next year, the next funding cycle, it's going to go from 40%, which is this year, to 50%. But the pool of money that will be available will be less. So it's kind of
Sure.
it's one of those things that which gamble do you want to take? You want to get the guaranteed 40, or do you want to wait to apply for the 50, but you may not receive that grant,
Right.
but my understanding though is that as much money as they've received, that the next few years it's going to fairly well be, and especially smaller projects that may not have been funded in the past, which the threshold is down. So it used to be a $10,000 project. Well, now it's a $6,250 project. So some of these even these smaller projects are eligible now, and will more than likely, they haven't said it absolute, of course, but the gist that we've been getting is that essentially if you apply for a REAP grant for this year, you're most likely going to receive it. And
right.
so,
and we should also be paying attention. There may be an additional announcement expected within the next month of another round of funding opening this year, or this spring is what they were
that's
saying.
right.
But I'm sure that'll be
Yes.
into early summer, right?
Yes, that is correct. So what we have heard, and again, just the whispers, is that they're going to finalize this round, which the deadline is March 31st. And then they are going to open up another round of applications, and more than likely that will be have a deadline of June 30th. Is kind of what we're thinking. But yes, that's the rumor, is that the March 31st will not be the only time to get a REAP application in. It looks, because of the funding. Yes, it looks like because of the amount of funding that they are needing 2 rounds of applications, and that's what they're gonna do, is open that up for another round of applications.